Hey everyone, welcome to Meteorite Global's first ever Python crash course. This is chapter number 1, Introduction to Python. In this chapter, basically, we are going to cover some basics of programming. So here's a little bit about myself. I'm Sanskriti, 16-year-old sophomore who's interested in physics and computers a lot. I'm the Chief Learning Officer, CLO at Meteorite Global. Hope you like this lecture. Every time we start a new chapter, we have thought of the day so that we are motivated enough, right? Motivation is the key. So here is thought of the day. Stop being afraid of what could go wrong. Start being positive about what could go right. Stay focused. So with this motivation, let's start our first chapter. Why Python? Why should I learn Python? What's the use of Python? These are very fair questions to be asked, and I have a set of arguments which are valid to answer these questions. But if you say me that you're learning Python because everyone else is doing it, I don't think that's a valid answer to it. So let's head to what does or why do you have to learn Python? It is easy to read and is powerful, yet a beginner friendly language. If you go and if you are a beginner in programming and if you go to low level programming languages like C or C++, those are not very beginner friendly languages. They are hard to read. You can't understand it easily if you don't have some experience. um, but Python is easy to understand, easy to read, and is powerful language. It is very flexible. It can be used in various fields. And yeah, one more point that Python is very close to English. Like if you know English and of course you know English, right? If you know English and you read Python code, you can very easily understand what does that code mean or what does that code have to do, right? And next point here says you can do almost anything with Python, right? You can create websites, you can create games, you can create mobile applications, you can create anything. You can run quantum computers with it. So that's crazy that you can run quantum computers with it. Python is one of the most loved programming languages by developers, data scientists, software engineers, and even hackers because of its flexibility and object oriented features. It is an object oriented language. Um, what, uh, what does that mean? You are gonna learn it in the upcoming lectures. Okay. Many of the web and mobile applications we enjoy today is because of Python's abundant libraries, various frameworks, vast collection of modules, and file extensions. Libraries, frameworks, modules, file extensions. These are, I think, a lot of new words if you are new to programming. Mm, Basically, libraries, modules, all of those are the code which is uh, that is already written so that you don't have to write it again and again if you want to perform specific functions in your code. So you can just import that library or module directly into your code within just two lines or one line of code. We are going to see how do we do it because in this course we are going to learn each and everything. Next point says not only that Python is great for building micro project to macro enterprise web services as well as on supporting other types of programming languages. Python is great. Although it's high level language and can do complex tasks, Python is easy to learn as we discussed earlier and is powerful. It has a clean syntax. If you're again new to programming, syntax is a new word for you. Syntax is we are of course we will be seeing what does all that mean, but for now syntax is something or a code or a set of rules, sorry, not a code, a set of rules which you have to follow in order to program, or else your program will not run. Therefore, it's recommendable for both beginner programmers and experienced programmers to use Python. What is Python? You are learning Python, you should know what is Python, right? So Python is an interpreted high-level and general-purpose programming language. So I forgot to ask you, what does programming language mean? You are learning a new programming language, that is Python, but if you are new to programming, you should know what programming languages mean. Basically, what does that mean? A programming language is a set of instructions written by humans. Maybe in future, robots will also be writing some program. To order the computer to do a given task. That's to make it simple. Let's take an example of cooking instructions or science experiment. You have a set of instructions you have to follow, and that syntax, and you put that code, and that code is the instructions to your computer, and that computer takes those instructions and executes them, right? Now, programming languages must be very specific and thought through by the writer so that your program can correctly do what you like or what you want to do. Okay, so this is what Python is. Again, revising, Python is an interpreted, high level, and general purpose programming language. Okay, so you are a programmer, and what type of programmer you are? Are you a backend developer or a front end developer or a full stack developer? Developer means, yes, a programmer. So first of all, backend development. In backend development, let's take an example. You have a wall. No, you don't have a wall. You have to create that wall. Okay. So when you create that wall, the procedure of creating that wall or building that wall is the backend development, which is, you can say, the backbone of your code, or the code itself, which is running that mechanism or that function you want to perform. Okay. So it refers to the server side of application, which is the communication between database and the browser. And backend development is basically the uh, algorithms and all of the things that the user doesn't see, like in the case of calculator, how the number is being calculated, what algorithms are being performed behind that calculator. The user doesn't see it, but it sees the output, and that output is related to the front end development on, like here, development that is interested in what the user sees, like designing websites, animations, game graphics, all of that is front end development. um yes, in that example of wall, the decoration, you do that on that wall, like the paints and wallpaper and all of the things, that's the front end development. In the case of that calculator, how that number is being displayed, maybe in what color that number is being displayed, is it center aligned, is it left aligned, is it right aligned, all of those things are front end development. And full stack development finally refers to both back end and front end development combined. Okay, so development both front and back end components and can develop the entirety of a program by themselves. So these were the types of developers. You can choose which one you want to pursue in your future, or maybe now. Okay, so here are some basic terms like compiler and interpreter. Okay, so we are gonna differentiate interpreter and compiler. So first of all, let's see what an interpreter does. It translates program one statement at a time, whereas the compiler scans the entire program and translates it as a whole into machine code. In interpreter usually takes less amount of time to analyze the source code, whereas compiler takes large amount of time to analyze that source code. And however, overall execution time is comparatively slower than compilers. Okay, so interpreters execution time is slower than the compilers, even if it does the analyze if it analyzes the source code in less time. but the execution time is very slow than the compiler. But compiler does the execution much faster than the interpreters. In interpreters, no object code is generated, hence are memory efficient. Okay, but in compiler generates a object code which further requires linking, hence requires more memory. So basically here compiler does some more work, which is translating your code into machine code, okay, so that that computer understands it and then again translates that back into your own programming language, okay, so that you can understand the output of that. So I hope you understood what compiler and interpreter mean. And now we let's have a look of what you are expected to learn from this Python crash course. You're expected to learn each and everything about Python. Let me make that clear. Like setting up your Python environment on your computer, variables, strings, numbers and comments, list, if statements, dictionaries, user inputs and while loops, for loops, each and everything, functions, classes, files, and exception handling, testing, test function and classes, what to do, what to respond, each and everything. Okay, so we are learning Python with all of efforts put in it. We recommend some online resources you can go through. So the links will be down in the description so that you can have access to them. Okay. So first of all, the first online resource we recommend to you is Interactive Python Beginner Tutorial by University of Waterloo. You can go through it if you want, but still, we are gonna teach each and everything. So don't worry if you don't go through that tutorial. Second resource is REPLit. REPL.it is a website to get access to Python without any installs required or downloads required. Because you have to install Python in your computer if you are using Windows, but if you are using Mac, it is already installed in your computer. But in case of Windows, that's not the case. But you have to have an IDE so that you can code efficiently. But if you don't want to do that, you have the website REPL.it on which you can code online and get the output online. Okay, but don't worry, you're gonna learn how to use that website also, and how to use or how to install and download each and everything in your computer. Okay, you're gonna learn both of them. So these are some open educational resources you should definitely try. Thank you, and I hope you like this introduction video, and I hope your safety, and thank you.